there exists a rift between men and women, which is only growing in size in modernity. Each gender villainizes the other, and endless conflicts and broken relationships have people pining for an ideal, that perfect mate that completes them. Readers of Genesis know that this is a God-given desire, for the design he laid out for the first people in existence, until a fall occurred. We have been cast out, cursed, enemies of each other and even ourselves. We're a paradox of elevating a form of love we don't fully understand, then aligning with the rejection and destruction of that same love. But beyond our own iniquity, there may be spiritual forces, even entities, furthering the schism between the genders. In Hebrew legends, the first woman ever created, even before Eve, came to be known as a demon who disturbs the night. The Talmud tells us that she was created at the same time as Adam, from lesser quality sediments and filth, it says. Adam being formed from the dirt of exposed earth. But when asked to take her position as less than Adam's equal, submissive to him, she refused, and after being thrown out of Eden, she consorted with other beings, some demonic, creating a lineage of demons and monsters, born into a hatred of the line of Adam and Eve, her replacement. One ancient story tells of the mysterious origin of Lilith, that she may have been an angelic, serpent-like being to begin with, who wished to ascend the cosmic hierarchy, but was cast into the desert by God for leaving her station, and at some point, she snuck back into the garden to tempt Eve and Adam with her wisdom and cunning. To be clear, these are extra-biblical myths that might obscure the origin of a very real spirit or force still lurking in our hearts and minds. Most tales agree that she wanders about the earth in darkness, seeking unprotected human children to unalive. With this particular demoness, there is a persistent theme: to attack the bloodline of the human race. Another central part of her legend was her seductive power as she lured countless men astray into her arms. I want to make something clear. Demon or not, putting all the blame onto an external entity for your human failings is a cop-out. We are responsible for our own actions and will be judged accordingly. But I also believe that these dark forces of temptation and chaos are very real, and they attack externally, even if it's subtly, and underestimating them is equally as foolish. Concerning spiritual matters, we are dealing with extra-dimensional forces of nature that can manifest in the physical as an entity, but that is merely a shadow of their true selves. There exists within each person a set of etheric doors, just like any physical structure, meant to keep the elements and predators out. Our choices can open these doors, and spiritual forces can enter and even take up residence in a person's soul. To them, it's like an invitation. We're all familiar with demonic possession, but there is something more sinister than direct possession: an infestation of influence. When we decide to glance too long at an attractive stranger, allowing thoughts to dwell in us, those doors open wider with the powers that enter. Now, this example sounds innocent enough, but it's the beginning of this darker process. Lust, idolizing, maybe even revenge against a faithful partner. There is no limit to the evil a human heart can entertain, and these external forces are happy to oblige our soul's corruption. We must have respect and awareness for these things. Strangely, though, today the phantoms and demons of seduction are more real than ever. The digital image is a modern embodiment of the succubus and incubus. These were the male and female lust-inducing demons of antiquity, though still occurring today. They appear in a person's dreams or visions just before some type of physical encounter. Both are associated with sleep paralysis, often being seen in the twilight realm between sleep and waking. For a person who is oppressed by these encounters, one of the things being taken from them is natural relations with a real person, their vitality, God-given purpose, and in some cases, their seed is stolen. Some legends speak of their use of this in propagating their own demonic race, and at the very least, weakening the propagation of the human population. Now, with the internet, the incubus and succubus have taken a new form. A digital phantom appears before the viewer, in any incarnation he or she can imagine. I want you to think about something for just a minute. Forget about the person who produced these images and videos. They're accountable in their own right. But that material is replicated thousands, even millions of times, and shown to countless people who have no connection to this person at all, and never will, effectively surrendering parts of their soul to an electronic phantom. This is a great evil. And it's only going to get worse with what we're developing. Love robots, AI girlfriends and boyfriends. It's going well beyond physical gratification into a machine mimicking emotional connection or even love. From the beginning of time until now, I believe this is all the same entities aligning with our own evil to forge abominations limited only by our imaginations. Our will to rebel against our original design is limitless. Take gender and its fluidity recently. With all the controversy, we often hear a phrase from the religious side and the scientific pragmatists that gender exists solely for the propagation of the human race. But the concept of androgyny as a virtuous aspiration can be found in some religions, especially the esoteric mystery religions, many of which are heavily influencing our culture today. But I digress. The Gnostics elevated the idea of the divine androgen as a wholeness of all binaries, a marriage of opposites within a single being. Since ancient times, it's been an ultimate transformation to many alchemists. Some are said to have switched sexes and de-aged at the same time, in the process of discovering ultimate wisdom. These occultic concepts overlap into various Eastern religions, like Hinduism, where Shiva, the god of destruction and regeneration, is embodied as both male and female, denoting the dual nature of this god. Some creation myths of the African Dogon people describe the origin of humankind as being hermaphroditic. Their creator god, Amma, made a pair of human twins that could reproduce separately on their own, as they were complete beings by their description. But strangely, the myth portrays an early universe still haunted by chaos an imbalance. And when Amma separated the genders, balance and order were somewhat integrated, allowing for the specialization of different roles. The Dogons see gender differentiation as more than just a biological characteristic, but a fundamental principle that makes up the structure and harmony of the cosmos. Maybe the mind houses some answers to this confounding issue. Analytical psychology was revolutionized by a man named Carl Jung. Jung expounded deeply on psychological growth through individuation, a process of becoming one's true self. The Swiss doctor saw that neglecting parts of ourselves caused all kinds of mental disturbances and disorders, but also realized that integrating these parts back into our consciousness, we could function more completely as an individual. He referred to this as the union of opposites, bringing together conscious and unconscious, light and shadow, good and evil, and even masculine and feminine. For a man, his unconscious feminine aspect was called the anima. For a woman, the masculine aspect, the animus. According to Jung, each gender could go too far in repressing their opposing anima or animus. Some men could benefit from showing more compassion, nurturing, and intuition. Women, more assertiveness, force, and rationality. Just want to be clear that these are Jung's classifications associated with the gender, and there's never a one-size-fits-all, cookie-cutter approach to how one individual should balance and integrate these energies or traits. There's already so much confusion surrounding gender roles and classification today, and one cannot deny an increase in chaos involving these concepts, inversions, and transformations without proper introspection and self-knowledge. If men and women were created by God as a binary complementary design, wouldn't rejecting it be catastrophic to life itself? I think men and women can learn to truly respect one another when they come from a place of wanting to understand themselves. Then they can treat each other with respect. When I see people trampling on things like marriage, and then I see articles like this, I kind of lose a little bit of hope. Ashley Madison just put this out, which, if you're unfamiliar, is a website for people who are married to find other people who want to cheat on their spouses. Specifically, apparently Columbus, Ohio is their #1 city with the most clients, which is right in my backyard. I really don't even know who to blame or what to even say about this, but it might also be this overinflated expectation of what a relationship is supposed to look like. Hollywood, movies and shows, Netflix always portray relationships as this thing on a pedestal. Pop music is often spewing crap poetry about how someone is quote-unquote all I need, or quote everything. They always go straight to the top shelf with their language. They've been telling the last few generations that romance is what you need to complete yourself. Self-control is eroding, and an egocentric idol of your archetypal perfect mate or soulmate is placed in the center of our consciousness. The only logical conclusion to measuring this unrealistic idol is disappointment. Entertainment is brainwashing people into romantic misery and the procession of musical chairs with potential partners who can only disappoint continues. They don't want you to be content. I mean, truly content with who you are as an individual first.